What's going on, everyone? It's your friendly neighborhood Gromit back again, and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today I want to talk about something that you see when you go into every single record store, every single record fair. It is, of course, wall records. Now, I don't have a wall. No, I have a wall, but I don't have like a wall records on my wall kind of thing. But if you go into a record shop or a record fair, you'll see records on the wall. Usually it's the most expensive and the most lucrative stuff, but it also can be just stuff that has cool covers, stuff that the owner of the shop or the stall wants people to look at and admire, maybe purchase and try out, you know, what kind of music and stuff like that. And I thought, if I had my own record wall, what would I put on it? So, just as a fun little video, I've looked through my record collection. I've picked out 14, not 10, not 12, not 8, not 7, 14 records, just a round even number, that I would put onto my record wall if I had one. So, in this selection, there's going to be a mixture of albums that are not that valuable, but just have really nice covers, or really nice music that means a lot to me. Some of them will be, you know, cherry pick the nice stuff, you know, the average stuff you'd see on a record wall. But also some kind of out of the box ones as well, some kind of card up my sleeve record wall choices. But instead of baffling on, let's look at some of the records that I would put on my record wall if I had one. So, starting off, I mean, this one's obvious. It's a Beatles White Album. Every record shop, I think it's like a crime to not have a Beatles White Album on a record shop wall. You know, everyone has one. This is number 300,036. Oh my god, I can't say anything today. 336,175. And the reason why I've chose this one, I've got crap tons of White Albums, but this one is a complete. It's got the pictures, it's got the poster, it's got the two black inner sleeves. It's a stereo copy, and it's one that would fit nicely on my record wall, of course. Kind of essential to have a White Album on your record wall, and this is the one I would pick. So not much needs to be said about that one. It's an obvious pick. We'll get this one out of the way as well. It's Beggars Banquet. We go from a White Album to another White Album by another 60s band, the Rolling Stones. This one is a mono, and that's why I've chose this one to be on the wall, because the mono ones are a bit rarer to find, as you can see there. I'll probably do a cutaway to like a better shot of the album itself. But yeah, I love this album. It's one of my favourite Rolling Stones albums. And again, it's one that you would see on the record wall very normally. You know, this would be hanging out on the wall or whatever if they had like a mono copy, or even an original stereo. I have an original stereo as well of Beggars Banquet, but I've gone for the mono. It doesn't really matter which one you pick here, but this is a classic record wall pick, I feel. Next up is SF Sorrow. I'm not even going to talk about why I put that on my record wall. Okay, so we've got the three kind of obvious ones out the way. Let's get on to some kind of interesting picks now, I guess. This is Vince Busseruptum by Blue Cheer, their debut album. It's on the Philips label. It's a US first pressing. Really, really nice cover. I love like these purple covers. I don't know why, these kind of psychedelic, you know, I associate like hard psychedelic rock with purple, and yeah, it's such a beautiful cover. It's like embossed as well, like it's textured. But if you don't know who Blue Cheer are, they did the famous cover of Summertime Blues that a lot of people say is the first heavy metal song. I kind of would say it's more, you know, just very hard blues rock. You know, this album is a very crunchy blues album. But it's also just a really kind of an obscurity, you know. It's not even necessarily a you know, like a £100 record. I paid maybe 20 quid for this. and it's in decent condition. It's not bad at all. Like, I'll get it out the sleeve here and I'll show you the back cover. Again, back cover's nicely like embossed as well and stuff. But this is just like really, really good music that I would absolutely have on my wall. One of the songs on here, Dr. Please, is like a long 8 minute and 50 second long kind of just, you know, like miserable kind of like bluesy, like Dr. Please, you know, it's fucking awesome. And yeah, Blue Cheer, Vince Bus Eruptum itself, great cover, great music. Yeah, brilliant. I think a lot of people know of Summertime Blues on this album, but I mean, people need to check out the rest of the album, really. This and the later album, I don't know if it's their self-titled album or not, but they have a brilliant song called Good Times Are Hard to Find. That is not really a metal-y song like this, but that I heard that on I heard that song on Mafia 3, the video game, when it came out, and that's a brilliant Blue Cheer song. But yeah, Vince Bus Eruptum. Now we've got Love. This is For Sale, the third Love album. Although you can kind of say this is where it's Arthur Lee and then 3 members here weren't in love at all before this album. So if you want to kind of call this like an Arthur Lee solo album, I mean, this is kind of what he did. He kept the Love name, but had like after Forever Changes, the lineup changed like every single album pretty much. This is my favourite Love album. Maybe a controversial opinion. I do love Forever Changes, don't get me wrong. Love the debut album as well with Little Red Book and all that stuff on. But this is brilliant. It starts off with a song called August, which is absolutely sensational. It's really Arthur Lee at his best. He does a lot of kind of, it's original as well on the Elektra label. Arthur Lee has this thing where he kind of makes songs that have weird time signatures and weird key changes, but they work very well. August is a great example of that. But other songs on here that I love are Good Times, brilliant, Singing Cowboy, especially the end. Arthur Lee, much more ragged, kind of hard vocals on that song. He's screaming, keep on rolling on and on and on and on. You know, brilliant shit. And side 2 as well. I just woke up from a dream. You know, brilliant, brilliant music on this album. It's my favourite Love album, it really is. And also, again, it's a bit of an obscurity. I should really make a video on these UK original Elektra albums because they're pretty hard to find. You don't find a lot of these original UK Elektra albums frequently. And it's worth a little bit of money as well, really, when you get like an original. So it's definitely a wall record contender. And it's going to be on my wall. Love, For Sale. Check it out. Okay, now we've got one again that's maybe up there because it's a bit valuable, but also kind of this is the definition of like one of the out-of-the-box choices, one of the card-up-my-sleeve choices. Because when I say this is my favourite album by this band, people are going to be like, what? Because I don't know why, but a lot of people don't like this album. And I've never really understood why. A lot of people say it's kind of just this album Mark II but done worse. But in my opinion, it's perfect. It's an absolutely stellar album. It's In the Wake of Poseidon by King Crimson. This album is sensational to me. It's brilliant. Cat Food is the single off this album. Brilliant. The first song on this album as well is called Living in Images of a City, I believe it's called. That is, in my opinion, better than 21st Century Schizoid Man. Again, I have to preface all this by saying in my opinion, because a lot of people don't like this album. I don't know why. Leave it in the comment section if you like this album. But I hear nothing but like this is like one of the worst King Crimson albums. I'm like, why? I mean, this is beautiful. After Images of the City, there's a song called Cascade and Cadence. Beautiful again, you know. And you get to side 2 and the second to last track and kind of around that angle. I forgot its name, but it's very loud and kind of harsh and hypnotic in a sense. It's what King Crimson did kind of best, those really out-of-the-box experimental tracks. And yeah, it can be a bit of a slouch to go through, but it also has its own feeling to it as well. This is a First Island Pink label with the original inner sleeve. It's also got a promotional kind of like poster for the cat food single inside. It's a complete copy. It's more than a complete copy, really. And it's worth a bit of money because of that. So, again, wall contender, but also kind of my own personal preference. I love In the Wake of Poseidon. It is my favourite King Crimson album. So, yeah, that goes on the wall. Okay, next up. Another kind of out-of-the-box one, mainly because this is the cheapest record in this entire video. It's Mountain Nantucket Sleigh Ride. Leslie West, fantastic guitarist. Passed away a couple of years ago, rest in peace. But Mountain, mainly known for their song Mississippi Queen, but this album in particular is absolutely sensational. And this again is the first UK pressing on the Island label, 1971, so it's not a pink label, it's the actual Island or whatever. But this is a really cheap album, and it's one that I put on my wall because it's like a £10 record, and people need to listen to it. It's brilliant. It's Mountain Nantucket Sleigh Ride. It's also got a fantastic cover, and yeah, absolutely essential kind of heavy blues prog listening, this kind of stuff. Just sensational stuff. Sensational. Nantucket Sleigh Ride itself, the title track, is one of the greatest songs of its era. Really is. So, yeah. Okay, next up, we've got some kind of punk options here that I put on my wall. Here's Nevermind the Bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. This is my OG pressing. I paid 10 quid for this. My dad paid 10 quid for this. Thank you, Dad. And he kind of gifted it to me from a antique shop not too far away from where I live, and it's in roughish condition, but the record plays all the way through. And what makes this version special is that it has no, I really like what whoever owned this album originally, I really like what they did to it. Kind of, that's all obviously wouldn't have been there. That's like someone's basically marketed that on. It's a really nice kind of and it's got all the stuff on it as well. These are so typical of these punk albums back in the day. They'd be handed around so much and people would just write their names on them and say, oh, I listened to this album. It's all over the place. Brilliant history to this album. Of course, it's on the Virgin, the Blue Virgin label. And yeah, do I need to say anything about Nevermind the Bollocks? It's one of the best albums ever made, man. It really is. And kind of, although I'm not massive into my punk at the moment, my roots are in punk rock. My dad loved punk rock. He's a punk rock dude. You just see the video that I made a while ago. I don't like calling it punk rock, really. It's music at the end of the day. It's, you know, it's rock and roll, man. But for the mainstream audience, I'll call it punk rock because I guess that's what it is. But I mean, I had my roots in punk rock. I did a lot of punk back in the day, and it's important that I keep that heritage to myself and my family, and just love some of these punk rock albums. My favourite song on Nevermind the Bollocks is it Submission? I believe it's Submission. Yeah. Submission, brilliant, but also No Feelings, brilliant on this album. Bodies, so dark for its time, considering nowadays it seems like a light song, but back then it was about abortion and stuff like, oh, so dark and kind of the brilliant song. Obviously Holidays and the Sun God Save the Queen, Anarchy in the UK as well, classics. So yeah, Nevermind the Bollocks. Here we have Yes Sir I Will. This is a 12-inch single. This isn't a full Cross album. If I had Stations of the Cross, that would go over this. I used to have it, but I sold it a while ago. I'm an idiot for that. But yeah, I definitely have a Cross album up on my wall. Just great music to start off with, but also really the Cross wasn't always necessarily about the music. It was a lot more about the message as well. And a lot of what Cross stood for, I believe, and personally, is kind of like a socialist. And I wouldn't call myself an anarchist, but I border on that line. And Cross, take away from the music, had a lot to say about the Thatcher society at the time. And some of it is still very, very prevalent in today's society, and it's the reason why it would go on my wall. Also, that in the fact that the Cross always had awesome covers. You know, they'd be fold out posters, newspapers, you know, booklets, informational booklets. Cross were brilliant with that. They, you know, they were £2.75 for this. You know, they didn't they weren't rip-offs. They didn't charge, you know, normal record prices for their records or anything. Cross, Yes Sir I Will, would be on my wall. Brilliant stuff. Okay, now for a bit of post-punk. Gang of Four Entertainment, this first UK pressing. Don't need to say much about this again. This is one of my favourite albums of all time. Just brilliant. At Home He's a Tourist, brilliant. The entire first side of this album is just sensational. Really is. Damaged Goods, sensational. Not Great Men, sensational. You know, there's nothing on this art. Ether, the starting track, one of the best ever opening tracks on an album ever, that is. And also, these first UK pressings pretty rare. Gang of Four Entertainment, they're worth a bit of money. I paid 40 quid for this, which is at the low end. Which is, you know, it's kind of like Unknown Pleasure prices by Joy Division. Unknown Pleasure is a bit of an expensive album. This is up there as well. Gang of Four Entertainment, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful record. Some of the best bass work ever on this album, by the way. Okay, how much do we have left here? We've got 4 albums left, so that was 10. 11. Be surprised to have not seen a Vertical Swirl on my wall yet. Well, it's about to change now. I've got the first Vertical Swirl on my wall. Colosseum, Valentine Suite. Great jazz rock album, this. The first track on the album is my favourite. What's it called? I'm sorry, the first track on this album is my favourite. I don't even know what it's called. It's The Kettle. That's it. Oh, the kettle dries. Oh, the anti-eye. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. A lot more psychedelic, that song. But also, you get into more of the jazzy elements in this album, especially the 4-second side. And it still holds up today. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's the first Vertical Swirl. It's the first Vertical album. It's VO1. And a lot of people surprised I wouldn't pick a Black Sabbath album. I just didn't want to, and I probably would have a Black Sabbath album on the wall, to be honest. But I'd talk enough about Black Sabbath to pull up Master of Reality and talk about Master of Reality when there's a full video on my channel about that album. But Colosseum, Valentine Suite is on my wall. Okay, here's another obvious one. Zeppelin 4. I had to pick a Zeppelin. I could have chose my original Zeppelin 1, but I'll choose my original Zeppelin 4. Yeah. Zeppelin 4. You know, these are the albums where you don't need to say anything about them. It's obvious why they'd be on the wall. You know, again, an original Plum Led Zeppelin album of any form is always going to be on a wall in a record store, you know, if they had one. So yeah, Zeppelin 4. Of course. Okay, second to the penultimate album on my wall is Deep Purple's first record, Shades of Deep Purple. Not my favourite Deep Purple record, but more for the rarity than anything. Yeah, just flip back cover pressing, so it's an early one. It's not the first pressing, it's on One Box CMI. But rarity over anything. There's still good songs on this album, obviously. Hush being the big one there. Also a great cover of Help. Much more kind of darker, kind of miserable version of Help on this album. brilliant stuff. Shades of Deep Purple. Up there more for kind of the obscurity of it, the rarity of this album. But if I had to choose my favourite Pink Floyd, my favourite Deep Purple album is Deep Purple and Rock. But it's also one of the cheapest Deep Purple albums, and it's one that you wouldn't be on a wall. This probably would be. So yeah, Shades of Deep Purple. Okay, the final record on my wall is the only record that isn't a original. It's the 13th Floor Elevators. This is a reissue, really good reissue. It has like the stereo and mono versions. This is the mono version on basically like a green and I guess like purple, red, cherry red kind of like coloured vinyl. That's the stereo version there. And yeah, essential listening really. 13th Floor Elevators if you like psychedelic music in general. I mean, you have to listen to this. It's essential stuff really. Yeah, 13th Floor Elevators is the last album that I'd have on my wall as we just kind of go over 20 minutes. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. What would you have on your record wall if you had one? Always love make a video yourself and post it to me. I'll watch it, leave my own feedback and stuff like that. I love vibing with you guys who collect records as well. Thanks for watching this video, guys. It's been your friendly neighbourhood Gromit, and I'll see you later.